and unless we have invited you to speak out with an open mic, we may do that at the end if we have some time left over. Anyone that unmutes themselves and disrupts class, you'll be removed. And when you're removed, you can't come back in. So just like make sure you don't accidentally touch your screen and unmute and make a noise. We want this recording to be so easy for everybody to be able to review on your own time. The last thing we want is like someone's beautiful mug showing up on the screen because your mic got picked up and now we're looking at you instead of what Joe is trying to share with us on the screen. Also be mindful, I may turn off the chat if it seems to be a little too chatty in there while Joe is teaching. We're not going to be answering questions while he's teaching. Just think of it like as if you are in a live class, and if you're raising your hand or passing notes or talking among each other while the teacher is teaching, it's really distracting. So if I see distractions like that and you're continuously asking questions, I'll just disable the chat. So just be aware. We have our trust community members who set really good examples. So let's follow their lead too. What else? What else? I don't know. Am I missing anything, trust community members, as far as announcements for new people? You will get a recording within 48 hours. So give us 48 hours to deliver this to you in your inbox, in your email. Okay, thank you, David. All right, who's ready for SPC, you guys? Keith, thank you. I'm not Joe's secretary. Thank you. If you guys need to access Joe for one-on-ones or whatever, you're not going to ask me for his information. Joe will share it in here. That's right, Laura. You are going to ask for it here, and Joe will share it at the end, or just look him up and access him there. Okay, Joe has a link tree. Yes, we have got more people in the waiting room. Wow. Salt and pepper. Okay, we're ready. Thank you, Tara. Write down your questions as it goes along so that you can ask at the end, so we're not like interrupting during class. Thank you. All right. Okay, I think it's time to officially get started. Please mind the chat, and we have trust community members. You have my permission to comment underneath people's questions in case they came in late and they didn't catch the whole, whatever intro. Please kind of help people remind themselves to just and save it. Bryce. Thank you, Bryce. You corrected yourself. Okay. That's what we're looking for. Policy enforcement in effect. Thank you, Joe Clem. All right, let's do this. Presentation mode, you guys. Introduction to secured party creditor or salt, pepper, cinnamon. As you know, we can't say what we really want to say to the public. Does it say my screen is paused? Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, it looks like you're trying to present something, but it's not
Okay.
really loaded. I don't know.
Thank you. I'll try this again. My screen sharing is paused. What? Okay, we are experiencing technical difficulties. You saw it for a minute. Okay. Let's try this again. Saying it again. Oh my word. What is a girl to do?
Maybe you could send it to Team Bree and have Team Bree share it.
I could. Let's try this again. What are people saying in the chat? It showed up like it was on edit. All pages were. Yeah, that's fine. It's just I had to click present. Let me see here. There we go. How's that, you guys? I know they're all visible right now, but I'm going to try to this
Oh,
is what we're working with right now. Is that all right?
yeah, that's fine. I don't care. I don't think anyone else cares. At the end of the day, it's not going to ruin the class.
You're right. Okay. Okay, who is Joe, you guys? The big reveal is coming soon. You can't see his face right now. Um, we have someone who made a mark here. Be mindful of that. If you're touching your screen, it may show up as a mark on our end. Okay. We're going to go over a definition of secured party and creditor because they're not the same thing. They're two separate. And how is SP/C used in financing? How does this compare to a status correction? What is a lien? And how does the SPC process relate to trusts? Let's let everybody in. There we go. All right. First of all, who is Joe? Joe has been a student of law and constitutional rights for decades. He has represented himself and has overcome every state and federal charge he's ever been faced with. Because of his irrefutable knowledge and commitment to standing in honor, his record has been sealed and judges continuously refuse to challenge him. Joe also assists others when it comes to filing with the IRS, full satisfaction of IRS debt, revocation of election, trust creation and trust law, private membership associations, private foundations, 508c1a, 501c3, contract law, understanding and applying laws per territorial jurisdiction, bonds, and more. Joe is our teacher in the trust community and creator of the Trust Author course, where members have the opportunity to become certified as a master trust author under his mentorship. Awesome. And we've done over 68 total classes together in the last 20 months. So since December 23 together, we have covered 28 classes that are donation based. That's revocation of election, 3 of those, including the Q&A, a 12-week PMA masterclass that helps you get your business out of the jurisdiction where you have to pay taxes. A 4-week bonds masterclass where people also learned how to create an international bill of exchange to discharge debt. 4-week stairway to free agency mentorship that included the revocation of election, passport correction, assumed name certificate, and Q&A. Our national versus citizen, we actually had over 1,000 people RSVP for that. I believe that was in this January. Passport correction and 1099 times 3. We started with 1099 class, and then people continuously wanted more, and that was quite the success. While hosting, oh, a lot of this was while hosting over 40 trust community meetings over the last 12 months. Joe doesn't skip a beat. Other teachers. Now let's talk about SPC. Who is familiar, has any familiarity with other teachers teaching about the SPC process? Drop a 1 in the chat if you are aware of other teachers. Okay, we have many people who are aware of this. Awesome. Drop a 3 in the chat if you're here because you would like to compare notes and see if maybe this is going to add more value compared to, what you have learned or think from other teachers. Okay, awesome. So we're going to be doing a lot of comparison. One of the biggest things that we are just really adamant about for you guys is protection. And the best way for you to protect yourself is to be knowledgeable. And you really can only be truly knowledgeable about something if you are doing it yourself. And a lot of what Joe teaches is DIY. We love that. We do not gatekeep. And gatekeep is such a big word in the sovereignty space because it doesn't mean that you hold something behind a paywall. It's like, I don't know if that's really gatekeeping. But Joe does no gatekeeping when it comes to sharing knowledge because he's giving you the power. He's not holding back power. Okay. So the reason why it is a great or a grand contribution for a lot of our DIY classes is because you can turn around and use this to free yourself, others. And if you get really good at that, then you can do it for other people and, have an equal compensation exchange if you're picking up what I'm saying. So we're meant to create leaders. So other teachers, they actually file your UCC1 with your full social security number. And if you don't know, that's a public document. And so then that means your social security number is completely exposed to the public world. They also have you submit your trust and EIN's bank account under the wrong fiduciary, which is turning your power back over to the system. And if you're not educated and you don't know what to look for, then you will think that because your name is on a bank account that you own it, but you're actually dead wrong because the fiduciary will be the system that you thought that you were kind of emancipating yourself from. It's really wild the things that Joe and I have seen. Um, Also, they claim that if you do it their way, then you can pull credits from the IRS and liquidate them. Drop a one in the chat if you've heard that before. Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot of that. Um, Drop a two in the chat if you've actually liquidated, you've pulled credits and liquidated, which means that you access those funds with FRNs. Like you've like cashed it as good as cash. If you have done that, you need to be teaching these classes with integrity. So you're right, Sammy. The UCC1 stuff is scary. Glad I haven't pulled the trigger. Yeah. We hear that a lot in our classes when people attend. They're like, oh, I'm really glad that I haven't done this yet. Um, so yeah, yeah. No, we don't know of anyone that has actually successfully like pulled the credits. We know of people that say, oh yeah, I was able to get credits, but like how do you access them? They haven't. So it's best to learn how to do this yourself so that you can spot the traps. Free agents are being targeted, and I'm calling this whole thing free, like we're all free agents here. And especially people with like a big, large following, they get targeted. And I'm not going to name names. This isn't really what that's all about, but I have witnessed in my own personal experience through helping others, there is definitely an attack on leaders to share the wrong information so that people fall back under the system. It's a trap. So be sovereign, which means learn to do it yourself. In June, we had a Bond is Your Shield masterclass that I briefly mentioned. Joe showed us how to create bonds, international bill of exchange to pay off a car loan, and the knowledge of secured party creditor is important for anyone who's involved with bonds and bill of exchange. So we're sort of working backwards here, but sometimes this is how we are inspired to teach new classes. So thank you for being here, even though this is kind of a backwards. Who here, drop a one in the chat if you were in a Bond is Your Shield masterclass, if you're familiar with what we're talking about. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, firsthand that when we were in that last class and we were talking about the UCC ones, that we could do that International Bill of Exchange, we were like, oh yeah, I think it's time for us to do an SBC class. And this actually was inspired by all the mess that Joe and I got involved in to help people clear up the crap from false teachers. Okay. We're going to go over the masterclass in a little bit because, as you know, whenever we do an intro, it means we've got a masterclass coming up. Okay, Joe, let's start with definitions,
Okay.
and then you can just kind of take it away from there. And I guess I'll pop in and remind you in case we're kind of missing some of these little key points.
All right. Well, okay, so a secured party. Okay, let's go look at these terms actually, and let's go look them up. So, if you're going to be doing secured party stuff, right, you have to study the UCCs. And I mean study these things like I really mean it. Like you can't just kind of like you got to really like dive into these things and read it. Like I've shown people processes and they're like, "Where'd you get that from?" I'm like, "It's from the UCCs." Like, "Oh." Again, I show them and they go, oh, okay. Oh, well, even in the bond class, I was pulling out the UCCs and showing people stuff right out of here because everything that they're doing, by the way, just a real quick note, um, online attorneys and even in the courtroom, the judges and stuff, they'll all tell you that the UCCs do not apply, and they're 100% dead wrong because all 50 states legislation has adopted it. So it is enacted into the state legislation. So if they tell you that it doesn't apply, they're full of it. It's just a straight up lie. Um, so ignore that. But we're going to look at a couple of these important terms here. So by the way, the whole birth certificate authentication, it only applies to doing the secured party process. But that's not, you don't keep that one. That's part of the process. That's later on. Okay, but you have to authenticate it if there's a good reason for it. All right. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep scrolling down because all these definitions are down in here. Promissory note, pursuant, did I pass it? Nope. Secured party. Okay. So a secured party is a person in whose favor a security interest is created or provided for under a security agreement. Okay, whether or not any obligation to be secured is outstanding, that's one. A second one could be a person that holds an agricultural lien. If you have an agricultural lien, you're a secured party. A consigner, okay, which I'll show you what that is too. But it's not going to let me click. Okay, fine. So I'll have to scroll back up. A person to which accounts, chattel paper, payment intangibles, or promissory notes have been sold, right? So you see, like, for instance, when you go and you sell your promissory note to the bank, because that's actually what you're doing when you go get a loan, you're selling the promissory note to the bank, okay? So they become the secured party because it was sold to them by you, okay? And we talked about this in 1099's class, what you're supposed to do with those promissory notes and stuff. But let's go to consigner real quick so you get that. Consigner means a person that delivers goods to a consignee in a consignment. So basically, like if you have a warehouse full of guitars, right, and your job is to ship guitars out to people, you're a consigner, okay? Because that's basically what you're doing, is you're going to be shipping out property to somebody else. So in our situation, what we're trying to do, okay, as a secured party, one is we're creating a security interest, right, under a security agreement, and we're going to hold an agricultural lien, okay? That is a secured party. Now, a lot of people go, you know, all right, well, I hear secured party creditor. What's that about? Well, a secured party could be a creditor. And what we're doing, you have to put bonds in as part of this process. This is a lengthy process to do. There's a lot of steps involved in this. And part of it is bonding and putting in different types of bonds in for different purposes. Okay. So when you do it correctly, okay, you're going to have an indemnity bond, meaning that there's going to be an indemnity bond is a bond that protects you from any harm. Like that's what the judges have, the cops have those. Those are indemnity bonds. So if you harm somebody, they get paid out of that bond. Okay. Now there's other bonds too. There's like offset bonds, right? Discharge bonds and stuff like that. So that way you can actually just discharge debt through your secured party standing. Okay, because you're a creditor, things would just get discharged automatically. All right. But we're going to go up to here because what we're doing when we become a secured party, right? What we're doing is we're filing a finance statement. So we got to look at finance statement. Financing statement means a record or records composed of an initial financing statement and any file record relating to the initial financing statement. So you have one financing statement and then you can add to that record, which is part of the process. So you started off with a UCC1 and then every time you have to add something to it or you have to do some kind of modification or handle a process, you would do a UCC3, which is an addendum to the one. All right. And you could do different things. You could terminate, you can add things, you can delete debtors, add creditors, add secured parties. You know, there's a lot of things you can do. You can assign things to other people and put them in charge of that. Okay. So there's a lot of things you can do. And this is why it's a very complicated process. You see, like we just talked about all this stuff and we can't even get into any of it because it's just too much to do. So we want to focus on the initial thing. What is it in the beginning to set this up and create this situation? Okay, so you have your financing statement. Now look what it says. It's a record. Okay, now we're going to go here. We're not going to do this right now, but we're going to go, I'm going to show you guys something. It's a record. That's what we're talking about, records. Well, let's go to money, monetary system. Okay, the decimal system, right? The United States money is expressed in dollars, dimes or tenths, cents or hundredths, and mils or thousandths. A dime is a tenth of a dollar, a cent is a hundredth of a dollar, and a mil is a thousandth of a dollar. So you see what's happening here? Like this is just breaking down, like the dollar is the unit, and then it just breaks down to smaller units. Okay, but that's like our standard unit is the dollar. Now I'm going to show you this. This is why I pulled this up. The word money is substituted for money of account to eliminate unnecessary words. As far as can be determined, the phrase money of account has not been interpreted by any court or government agency. Okay. And then he talks about the money unit. This is Alexander Hamilton. Money unit of the United States, money of account, interchangeably. So he's saying that he's denoting that the monetary system for keeping financial accounts. Financial accounts. The secured party process is all about understanding finances and creating accounts. When you do a financing statement, you are creating an account. It's a bank account. Okay? Money of account. Money unit of the United States, money of account. They're interchangeable. Okay? And it's for keeping financial accounts, financial records. That's what this is. So the first thing that we really need to understand what a secured party is one who does banking, keeps financial records. Okay? Now we live in a country where we all know, I think everyone here knows that the United States is a corporation, right? But what kind of corporation is the United States? It is a banking corporation. It was bought out by the bankers back in the early 1900s. Okay, so it's a banking corporation. Look how much money it loans out to other countries. Who does loans? Banks. That's the United States is a bank. Think about it. They give people welfare. They give people Social Security, right? Oh, here's your benefits for paying into it, right? These are all insurance policies, right? It's all banking.
Joe, does this mean that you're going to lead us to that one thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Right now.
Okay, cool.
So this is, I do have to explain the birth certificate a little bit, but I'm going to show you this first. All right. Now, this is a UCC 1 financing statement. Okay. I should pull up a blank one first, but here, let's do that. Let's pull up a blank one first. So you can see what it looks like. All right, so this is a UCC 1 financing statement. I'm going to explain it a little bit here. So this up here is just contact information. They just want to know who's submitting this, right? And it's optional. You don't even have to tell them. It doesn't matter who submits it. The only thing that matters is the accounting. Who's the debtor? Is there another debtor? Who's the secured party? Who's the one that has this thing in favor of them, right? Who has the agricultural lien, right? Is this a security interest in favor of this guy? If it is, then he's the secured party. And then the collateral. So the collateral could be a lot of different things, but this is your language. This is your contract in here. This is whatever you put into this collateral box, right, becomes what you're utilizing for the record, for the account. Okay, so you check here, agricultural lien. Now you're a secured party. That's it. That's all you have to do, right? See, that's it. Good night, everyone. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, really, you make sure you got to check the agricultural lien because as long as you do that, you are a secured party. Okay. And we're going to get into more of these things, but this is what the UCC financing statement is. Now, here's one I found a number of years ago, and boy, this is something else, I'll tell you. So look at who the debtor is here: the Federal Reserve System, United States of America, Department of Defense. There's a lot of debtors on here. This woman, I have no idea who that is, right? These guys, all these people. And then we have a bunch of secured parties. I know you guys want to know who that is. The Treasury, right? That's a de jure government agency right there, 1789 Treasury, and not the current one. The IRS is a secured party on this, right? That's why they tax people, because they're a secured party. All right. The United States of America is an obligor, meaning he's got to pay. Okay. He's an obligee. It's kind of a weird situation going on in here, but we're going to look at this file right now. I have to download it, which means I have to reshare my screen. All right, so I just downloaded it and I'm going to pull it up. All right, so this is it. Now, this is the UCC approval sheet. Okay, expedited fees. So that means they paid $50 extra to get this thing filed quicker. They say, hurry up, hurry up. All right, so this is a public finance. Public finance. All right, so the Department of Defense, this is who it's being sent to. So they're on notice about this. And here's the thing, this is still a recording online. So if the Department of Defense disagreed with this, they could actually have it removed. I don't think they have the ability to do that. They definitely do. All right, so here we have the first debtors, the Federal Reserve System. Okay, look at this, you see this? 14.3, this is quadrillion dollars. All right, it got cut off here, but if you look real close, that right there is a comma. That is not a period. That's a comma. So that's 14 quadrillion dollars. I figured it out one day. Okay. Type of organization, trust, 15 U.S. code. That's consumer credit. That's all trade and commerce. 15 U.S. code is trade and commerce. Okay. Jurisdiction of the organization, United States of America. Okay. You see here, 14 quadrillion dollars. Okay. A trustee. This is the United States of America. The United States of America is a trustee. Okay. The secured party is the U.S. Treasury. They're the secured party in this. These are seals I still have not figured out. I've been trying for years to figure out what these seals are. I don't know. It might be the seals like on the dollar bills. That's what I think they are. But I might be wrong. But that's what I think they are, and I'm going to show you why I think it's those. Okay. And it's an agricultural lien. See, they checked the box. So that's correct. They're a secured party. Okay. And this goes into the estate records. This goes into real estate records as well. So that means that there's something going on here. So this is all collateral. These seals are collateral. Okay. This commercial affidavit, not a point of law. Okay. And look at what it says here. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Now put a 1 in the chat if you've heard that sentence before. Now put a 2 in the chat if you know exactly where that comes from. Oh, someone typed it in. I saw that. Okay. All right. So yes. If you don't know, just in case if anyone doesn't know, go pull out a dollar bill and go look at the corner, the top left corner. It's right there. That's the language. So if the debtor is the Federal Reserve System, and they're being put on notice on this because this is an addendum. So this is a UCC 3 here, right? The Department of Defense is another debtor, okay? But what's happening here is the Department of Defense is being given all this money, right, for the military to use. That's what's going on here. Okay. And look at what the collateral is. okay, as all real men with hands and legs and all real land in the United States, $14 quadrillion. With trust in God, this real estate is with the public. Okay, so that's this side over here. So what this is the collateral box. Remember what we said? I said like the collateral box, right? This is, well, it's real estate, but that's part of the collateral. So what this is saying that this is what's put up for collateral to borrow this money, right? Or these funds. I shouldn't say money, money of account. And it's the people and the land. This is why you have to pay property taxes. This is why one has to pay taxes to the IRS. The brackets always mean something. It's not on the page, but it's still there because it's being used because no one's called it out. So if no one disagrees with it, then it's accepted. All right, but that's what's happening. That's part of the fraud. So they're lying, but they're telling you the truth at the same time. It's a weird thing. But just keep in mind that when they say men here, they mean women as well. Okay, so but this is the thing that they're using you and the land to collateralize, right, in order to print Federal Reserve notes. Okay. Out of many, all 50 states, all cities, counties, one. Real estate in the United States of America. This be extracted with prejudice into the United States of America, state of California, this 15th day of July, 2011. Right? And then it's this dude, which Everton Roca. I don't know. And he's probably the guy that did it. The United States Department of Treasury. This is the record owner, Internal Revenue Service. Okay. And then this is filed in connection with a public finance transaction, effective for 30 years. Okay. So they got 30 years to use this $14 quadrillion and have to pay it back. Okay. But they're using the collateral right here to draw this from. All right. That's what they're doing. I think Steve doesn't realize he's making marks on the page. So the other one, it's another Steve. You're innocent this time. Okay, so now there's other stuff going on here. There's a whole thing about these, they're trying to create these pipelines and stuff. We don't need to really worry about that. But that part of the money was supposed to go to, yeah, that's right, human capital. So what they're doing here is they're using people as collateral to print all the money. Okay. And the way they collateralize the people is through stuff like that. Now, how do you get somebody to put themselves up as collateral? How do you do that? Who here is willing to be collateral in order to borrow money from the Federal Reserve? Type a 7 in the chat if you want to be collateral for the Federal Reserve notes. No one's typed it. Oh, I like that one. Someone put a gun in there. No sevens. So weird. All right. Well, that's because you guys are sane. Okay. What does it have to be? You're not a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen is, and this is what I'm going to show you right now. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to here. Okay. We're going to go to UCC. Like I said, if you're going to be a secured party, okay, you need to know the UCCs. Okay, a secured party creditor has to know the UCCs. Okay, and I'm going to show you something here. We're going to look at this warehouse receipt. Okay, and basically a warehouse receipt, and I'll show you. We'll do let's do a bill of lading here. This is a warehouse receipt. This is what it looks like. Oh, I gotta use Google. I forgot. Because the lading. Okay, so these are bills of lading. Okay, if you look here, okay, let's click one. All right, and you can see. Look at what it has on here. Right, ship from, ship to. Remember, we're talking about the consignee, consignor, right? Secured party. So bill of lading has everything to do with being a secured party. Okay, who's doing the shipping? Who's it going to? If there's third party freight bills, right? This is a bill of lading. It's all shipping. It's all shipping stuff. Okay. Here's another one. This is an airway bill, okay, which is another type of bill of lading. Okay, you see it's got like nice little barcode up there. Okay, has all this information. It's kind of, let me click on this and get a closer look at it. Come on, come on. There it is. There's one. There's another one. Now notice, look what it says here. This one's non-negotiable, meaning that this one can't be sold at a monetary value. But the ones that don't say that, it's essentially money of account is what it is. So this is all money. Okay. Here's the airway bill. Okay, this is a real one because look, they actually blanked out some of the. But here, this is a warehouse receipt, and we're gonna look at this here. Okay, we're gonna compare this to this. That's a, oh wait, now let's do one more. Let's do one more thing. We're gonna do birth certificate. Okay. And we're going to use this one because that's a New York City one because I was born in New York City, so mine looks just like that one. Where is it? There. Okay. So we're going to bring all of these together. And so here's a birth certificate. And here's a airway bill. Look at it. It's got the little barcode, right? Now it's got a little barcode. Weird. No. It can't be the same thing, right? No, that's like some conspiracy theory stuff. Okay, let's look at this form of warehouse receipt. So a warehouse receipt need not be in any particular form. Okay, so it doesn't have to be in a certain format or anything like that. They can kind of make it this way or that way. Now, unless a warehouse receipt provides for each of the following, the warehouse is liable for damage caused to a person injured by its omission. The location of the warehouse facility where the goods are stored. Okay, let's take a look. Yep, right there. Look, see? It says right here, this is it. But they blanked it out because they didn't want you to see who it belongs to. But if you had one of these bad boys, you could go deposit that at your bank and they give you the cash for it. All right. So that's where it is. Let's look at this thing here. Wild bean, look at that. Bang. Okay, and then it has what's this? This is the hospital, right? Department of Health, City of New York, right? New York City issues its own birth certificates. All right, so looks like we got the first one, the date of issue of the receipt. Do we have a date on here? There's a date, yeah. Consolidation, is there a count? Okay.
Yeah, September 6th
Oh, yeah.
at
Okay.
the bottom.
Yep, there it is. All right. And then birth certificate. You guys got a file date, right? On the birth certificate. It's not on this one because they took out some of the information because, it's supposed to be private. The unique identification code of the receipt. Well, this one's got a scannable little barcode. So does this one. All right. A statement where the goods received will be delivered to bearer, to a named person, or to a named person or its order. Right? Well, this is the shipper's name, the consignee. That means the consignee is the one who's going to receive it, right? So you have the shipper, the consignor on top is blanked out. The consignee is the International Cargo Express. Well, let's look at this thing. Got the mother and father's name on here. Almost in the same exact spot where the consignee is on the other document. Not weird? Okay. The rate of storage and handling charges. Okay, here's the catch. If the goods are stored under a field warehousing arrangement, a statement of the fact is sufficient on a non-negotiable receipt. It's just a statement that they're going to hold it. And look at this one. This is non-negotiable because they didn't write a monetary value on here. And it's showing you the mother's residence, all right? Notice that it says it gives the mother's residence. Okay? Not the father's. Not weird. Wants the mother's maiden name, wants the father's full name, right? His birthplace, but it wants the mother's residence. Well, that means that must be where the field warehousing arrangement is. Okay? They did an arrangement with the mother's residency, and that's where the goods are going to be stored. A description of the goods or the packages containing them. Now, yeah, here we go. We got it on here, but on the birth certificate, it has the baby's weight, height, eye color, description. The signature of the warehouse or its agent. You see? As agent of the shipper, as agent of the carrier. See? The signatures are on there. And look at that. Got it right here. Look, city registrar signed it right there. This agent signed it right here. And then they want to know what kind of agent it is. They circled which agent they are. Okay. If the receipt was issued for goods that the warehouse owns, either solely jointly or in common with others, the fact of that ownership and a statement of amount of advances made and of liabilities incurred for which the warehouse claims a lien or security interest. So what does this mean? The city of New York now has a lien or a claim or an security interest in that baby. Okay? And they don't have to tell you how much it is either. So it could be unknown to the warehouse or to its agents that issued the receipt. A statement of fact that advances have been made or liabilities incurred. Or liabilities. So you spent your whole life living in this system with liabilities. Right? Everything around you is a liability. You get a car, there's liabilities with that. You get a house, there's liabilities with that. You get a job, there's liabilities with that. Right? Well, there's liabilities. Liabilities incurred. Congratulations, you're born into a banking system. Now you have liabilities. Okay. So now we can see that this is what our birth certificate is, right? It starts off as a warehouse receipt and turns into a security later on. Okay. Once you start utilizing it in the system, it's a security because then they say, well, we have an interest on that. We have an interest on you. You have to start paying taxes. Right? You have to start doing this for us. You need to do that. We got you. You said you're that thing, that's ours. Who made this thing? City of New York made it. This is theirs. Okay? And proof is because they put it right there. Right here. They're the creator of this document, meaning that this is theirs. This is their document. Okay? Like when you write a letter, where do you sign it? Over there. So they own this. Everything that's here is theirs. They made claim to it. But it's fraudulent. It's only sitting there because you haven't done anything about it. Now, what have they done with this birth certificate? Right? They've created, they created a trust account. Okay? Look, see? So the Social Security trust funds are financial accounts in U.S. Treasury. There are two separate Social Security trust funds. The Old Age and Survivors Insurance. Right? That trust fund pays retirement and survivor benefits, and disability insurance pays disability benefits. All right? So this is their financial end of this. So first you have the warehouse receipt. Right? That's all shipping stuff. What they do then is they get your parents to make a conversion and create a financial side of this thing as well. So you have the warehouse arrangement and then you have the trust account, okay, to hold the funds. Whatever funds are made from this shipping agreement, from this warehouse agreement, goes into this trust fund. Now, you're a limited beneficiary under this thing as long as you operate as if you're the Social Security account, okay? Has that name on there. That name is that's an entity. It's not you. It's a trust fund. Okay. They even tell you flat out that that's not you on the card, on the Social Security card. It doesn't belong to you. So it's not yours, but they're using it against you. But if you were never born, then that thing wouldn't exist. So it owes you for its existence. Without you, that thing could not have been created. Okay? So you have to correct the record on those two instruments. They're using them against you, but really, if it wasn't for you existing, those two things would not exist. They wouldn't be able to make all this money off of you. Okay? And that's why we do the UCC filing. Okay? And that's the first thing in here. Those are your debtors. They're organizations. Those are U.S. citizens. A U.S. citizen can be a trust or a corporation. The birth certificate is a certificate that shows, right, the creation of a corporation. And so, under a field warehousing arrangement. Okay? So that's your organization. Right? John Doe, DBA. Okay? Let's say City of New York birth certificate. Okay? That's your first debtor right there. Okay? It owes you for its existence. Now, and here's the other thing though. Remember, they used us as collateral to print the money, meaning that we are the ones who have value, right? They created these debt instruments to flip the script and make it look like we're the ones that have to owe them. We have to pay them. But in actuality, it's 180 degrees. They're supposed to be giving us. They're supposed to be paying us because of the fact that we are the collateral. They turned us into chattel. Okay, they turned us into property that they use, right, to make money off of. The birth certificates are being used as, so what they do, they call the birth certificate. So like different departments call the birth certificate different things. And what they'll do when they're operating with the Treasury's operating with the Federal Reserve, the Federal Reserve says, well, I'll tell you what, offer us some stock of the United States, and then we'll issue you some more Federal Reserve notes. So the United States says, here's our stock. The stock is the mortgages and the birth certificates. Anything that owns property, right? Deeds, mortgages, anything that has something, that's what they offer up. That's the land. And then the birth certificates, because that's the energy. The people are the energy that makes everything move and function. Right? And they say, well, they're going to back it up because they're going to pay it back with taxes later. So it's all good. Right? So they're actually illegally, they converted us into property that they use to take out loans off of. Okay? It's sick. So our second debtor is going to be this John Doe doing business as Social Security. Right, number, Social Security trust number, and you can't put the numbers in because they're private, but you can put the last four in, right? But you can't write all the numbers in here because one, they'll flag it, and then you have to redo the filing, and two, you're not supposed to share that. You're not supposed to share that with anybody. All right. Now here's the thing. Okay, these are two organizations. The mailing address for the birth certificate is going to be found wherever this is. Vital statistics of where that birth certificate is. That is where it is, or the hospital. So we've done it with both ways, and both those ways work. Either the hospital you were born in or vital statistics. I think vital statistics is probably better, right? But it's worked with those two. When we tried to do it with like the home address, it doesn't work because you're claiming that you are bringing that thing there. So now you're utilizing it. So it doesn't really work that way. And then you have your Social Security trust. Now, the address for this is going to be, it depends on the red letter on the back of the Social Security card. Okay. The red letter on the back of the Social Security card tells you which Federal Reserve Bank is holding on to that account. Okay. So the Federal Reserve holds those accounts for the U.S. Treasury. Okay. And I'm going to show you, you can find it out because on the dollar bills, they show you, see, this is an H, and H is St. Louis. Says it right on the dollar bills. They tell you. So you go look at the back of your Social Security card, the Social Security card, and you're going to see a red letter and then 8 numbers. The red letter tells you which bank it's being at. So it's either H or it's going to be B, which is New York. Okay. What's this one? G. Okay. Which is Chicago. So that's the address you're going to put on there, is that address of the Federal Reserve Bank that your account is being held in. Now, if you don't have those numbers on the back of your card, just order another one, and then they'll send you a new one, and it'll have the red numbers on the back. But older ones didn't have it on there, but they put them on now. Okay. Where is this one? Okay. And then you are the secured party. But this is where you put in the individuals. So you're going to do Doe. Okay. Notice it's upper lowercase, right? And you're an entitlement holder. Okay, so this is solidifying your position as you're the one that's holding this thing. You hold the entitlement. Okay, giving you what's called equitable ownership over these things, right? It puts you, basically, you're the one that gets to get paid on these things, right, John? Okay. Now the collateral thing is kind of crazy, okay? And it goes into this whole other thing, but really it comes down to knowing UCC 9 language, okay? And I'm going to show you the different ones. So Article 9 is secured transactions, okay? When we get into secured transactions, this is what happens. Look, control of deposit account, right? Purchase money, security, interest, application of payments, right? Control of investment property, control of letter of credit right. You guys want to have control of this stuff? Right? Security interests arising under Article 2 or 2A, whatever. For you guys seeing how this stuff works, right? There's rights and duties of secured party having possession or control of collateral. Okay? Enforceability of security interest. This is what a lot of people complain about. Well, I don't know how to enforce it. Well, it's right in the UCCs. The UCC tell you what to do. They tell you how to enforce it. Okay? And these are all considered self-help remedies. Okay? Like these are things you rarely go to court for. You just handle it through the UCC filings. Right? But once you invoke the Treasury and stuff like that on there, they're going to back you up on it. When you do this process right. And the guy I learned this from, he spent 15 years trying to get this thing to work, and it took him 15 years to make it work. And he goes, "Holy crap!" Because he always knew that there was something to this process, right? Because of the fiat currency and the BS in the system and all these fake things. So he knew that this was a way out, and he figured it out. It took him about 15 years, but he really cracked through it, and all of a sudden he was able to pay off his bills, discharge all debts. He was able to get, lawsuits dropped from this stuff. Like the cops came and arrested him one time, and then, they wouldn't want him back in the courtroom. All kinds of stuff. He got his grandkids back. They took his grandkids from his daughter, and he got them back doing just one UCC3. And they were like, "Well, we're just going to give you your kids back to the mom." After he fired the lawyer that she hired. It's a really interesting story. But he did that all through the filing, and then just put the courts on notice about it. Okay. And they agreed with him very quietly. They wouldn't say they agreed with him, but they did everything he wanted them to do. All right. So this is where all our remedy is. All right. Everything's in here. It really is. Like we use this in the bond class as well. I showed you guys different things with the bonds and stuff, but security interest arising in purchase or delivery of financial asset. Okay. But that's what this is. So was I going to say? Yeah, here it is. So the collateral is going to be dependent upon what it is that you want to say as far as this relationship goes between these two debtors and you. Okay. And like I said, like this is where it's going to be, right? Perfection and priority of security interest in deposit accounts, right? Goods covered by certificate of title, perfection of agricultural liens, right? And we look at this one right here. While a debtor is located in a jurisdiction, the local law of that jurisdiction governs perfection, the effect of perfection or non-perfection, and the priority of a security interest in collateral. So while collateral is located in a jurisdiction, the local law of that jurisdiction governs perfection. So like one thing that you do is you make a list of properties and you stick it into that collateral box, but you don't usually do it on the one, it's done on a three. And what happens is that you're pulling that into as your property, as a secured party. And what it does is it's hands off to anybody who tries to take it. They can't do it. Okay. And the thing about these filings is that if you're the first, so let's say you go get a car, okay? You go get a loan, you get it for a car, and then you go put it on a UCC filing saying that that car is collateral, okay? You did before the bank did it, meaning that now you have public finance transaction here that everyone can see that that car is technically, you have a security interest in it. So if the bank comes and tries to take it, well, now you have grounds to sue them because they just took your collateral. That's yours. You're the one with the security interest. Their security interest is second, so it's no good. You know, first in line,
So,
right?
Joe, if we're going to go buy a car,
Hmm.
or when we buy a car, how long does it take for them to put the lien on it?
They usually don't. The lien is usually on the certificate of title itself, right? But they talk about that in here as well. And there's ways to get the lien taken off of that. Um, but when you do it as a public finance transaction on a UCC filing, you kind of breach their little private lien that they put on there because you publicly made everyone aware because the UCC filings are public. I pulled that other one up. So once you put that out in the public that you have a security interest in that, if they go and try to do other, things to it, you can actually use the UCC filings to cripple the bank, right? You can cripple the bank, you can cripple the county, you can hurt these people, not physically, but you can hurt them financially, right? Because that's the only thing that's going to make them do anything is when you stop their financial ability to make money, right? Once they can't make money and they're indebted to you, then they're going to start performing. But you have to know how to use this stuff properly.
So they may release the title if you put the lien on the property itself, perhaps.
You can transfer the lien to something else, especially if you've done the full process.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have bonds with the Treasury that's worth millions and millions of dollars, meaning that you can swap all liens over to that, and the Treasury is going to back you up on it. They're going to be like, yep, 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 that's his, and the banks are going to be off. The banks are going to be told that you're off limits, not to touch you.
So basically, it's a good idea to learn how to do bonds if you know how to do an SPC process in liens.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is the other thing. This is an important one. When you do this process correctly, okay, you become a creditor of the United States. Okay. And once you're a creditor of the United States, you have the protection of the US Treasury. Okay. And so here's another thing that happens with all these transactions. When you do these transactions, okay, you give power of attorney to all of these companies, right? You give them the social security number, you give them the name, you give them the address, right? You give them all this data. All this data they don't really need to have in order to make a deal with you. Like, look, if I went to your shop and said, "Hey, I want $50 of this thing right here," said, well, give me your social security number. What? For what? What do I need that for? But they'll tell you, well, we have to run your credit, see how good your credit is. Well, why can't I just show you how much I make every week with my paycheck so you can see I can afford to pay you? That's not good enough for you? No. Well, that's why the credit score is all BS. So that's a whole made up system just so that these companies have a good excuse to go take that information and then personate you, right, in the system. So if you're a creditor, though, and this is what happens when you do part of this process, whoever falsely personates any true and lawful holder of any share or sum in the public stocks or debt of the United States, that would be those bonds, right? When you give them those bonds, right, you're creating that public debt or you're helping with that public debt. Or any person entitled to any annuity, dividend, pension, wages, or other debt due from the United States. Another color of such false personation transfers or endeavors to transfer such public stock or any part thereof, because you offered those bonds to the treasury, which they keep, and then you actually have them, or receives or endeavors to receive the money of such true and lawful holder. Oh, to receive the money of such true and lawful holder thereof, or the money. So right here it tells you it doesn't even matter what money it is. It doesn't have to be the money that's in the stock or in the debts of the United States. Any money. You got money, you're a creditor, they can't touch you. Okay, or the money of any person really entitled to receive such annuity, dividend, pension, wages, or other debt shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. They kind of take this a little seriously. When you're a creditor, the Treasury is going to protect you. And once these guys get noticed that, yeah, you know what, the Treasury's backing this guy up, they will leave you alone. All right. We've seen this. Like,
Joe, have
you know,
you used that as, do you have an example of using that?
yeah. So, like, my friend got his car towed, right? And first he reported it stolen. The cops go, no, 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 your car was towed because it was in a private parking lot. And he goes, yeah, I'm visiting my friend. Like, well, you have to take it up with the tow company. So he calls them, and they said, well, we towed it. You're gonna have to pay to get it back. He goes, I'm not paying to get my car back if you falsely towed it. So they said, well, that's what we're gonna have to do. So he just went and did a UCC filing right there on the spot, and then sent it to him and said, look, you guys got basically crippling the company. He said that now they're in debt for like more than the company was worth. And he says now you guys can't make any money. He says now you're gonna have to pay me, and I'm gonna get the sheriff to take all your stuff. Right? He could take the trucks, okay, because it's an agricultural lien. Right? He becomes the repo man. He can come in and take all their stuff. He could take the building, the trucks, whatever he says they owe him, like, let's say $50,000. He goes, all right, I'm taking your house, I'm taking your building, and I'm going to sell it for 10 grand. Right? Why not? He can do whatever he wants with it. Right? Sell all the computers, sell the trucks. So that's what he did. And they called him up. They said, listen, uh, you can come pick it up. We won't charge you if you come pick up your car. He goes, no, you're bringing it back to me right now. So they dropped it off where they left it, right in the same exact spot it was in, because it was like sitting in snow. So they put it right back in the same spot it was sitting in.
That's amazing. Okay, how else can we um use liens for our advantage? Would it help someone if they're in a foreclosure situation?
Well, in a foreclosure, yeah, because you would go, hey, look, guys, I'm really glad you're foreclosing on that dude because he owes me money too. Can you help me get my money? He owes me a lot. And you're first in line. So you have to get paid before the bank can get paid on the foreclosure. And he owes you hundreds of millions of dollars. So they're not going to want to help you. So it stops foreclosures. It could, but you have to, like I said, it's all about how you enforce it. If you don't know how to enforce it, it's not going to take hold. So you have to
Mhm.
know how to use it properly. Okay, that's the tricky part. Court cases is the same story, right? So if you have a court case, you have to go to court for something, and you have the UCC one. You submit the UCC one into the court. Okay, you're letting them know that you have a priority security interest on that person, and that since they're bringing charges up against that defendant, you would like to get paid as well. So I'm really glad you guys are getting this guy. I need your help. He owes me a lot of money. Can you help me? And then they just go, oh, we actually dropped that case. Sorry, gone. So they don't want to pay you. They're gonna have to go to the treasury and go get, and they're not gonna do it.
Amazing. Okay, so let's talk about all the other ways that the secured party creditor process can help us if we know how to utilize it. We've talked about liens, putting it on your car if you buy a car, court, what else?
Tax credits, discharging debts. So when you have, so like look at the airway bill we looked at, like those bills of lading, right? Those things, some of them are non-negotiable, some of them are negotiable. The ones that are negotiable are considered a bill of exchange, right? Or a bill of lading. It's the same thing. It's money of account. It's an account, right, that you can trade for other currency. That's what it is, money of account. So um, when you create that UCC1 and you do all the bonds and all the other, there's a bunch of agreements you got to put into this thing. There's bonds you put in there. But once you have all that, the packet goes to the Treasury with an authenticated birth certificate, which funds that whole thing. That's you're doing exactly what they're doing, but you're doing it to the Treasury instead of the Federal Reserve. And the Treasury has to honor the fact that you've recognized that we've been in this debt system since 1933. So they go, oh, okay, he's on that. He's doing that. So they will honor it once you do it properly. You have all the proper paperwork. It has to go to the Treasury, and that becomes your new account. Okay, your account is now with the Treasury, not Treasury Direct. People mix this up. This is two different things. Treasury Direct is this other thing. The U.S. Treasury is all going to be done through the mail. But the UCC1 is evidence that you have that account with the U.S. Treasury because that's your accounting, money of account. So what now that UCC1 is, you have, remember, you have a set-off bond, you have a indemnity bond. Okay, there's like about 3 or 4 different bonds that you put in there, and but now what you do is you can create like a bill of exchange, right? And you can use that UCC filing as the collateral to back up the bill of exchange. And those things get taken if you've done the UCC correctly. That stuff will discharge.
And it's because of the birth certificate, right?
It's because the birth certificate is collateral. The Social Security account is holding all those funds, and those funds are considered liquid inside the Social Security account. Promissory notes are liquid, mortgages are liquid inside of there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's a different type of account.
Mm-hmm.
It's a special type of trust account. So all those types of securities and stuff like that are considered like just flowing currency, like the way a dollar bill would be right now to us.
Mm-hmm. So you guys here in class, just keep that in mind that I've let me just add a little spotlight here real quick. I have overheard public conversations with podcasters talking about like, just like the fear mongering about, you know, the birth certificate is keeping us shackled. The birth certificate is bad. We need to destroy it. We need to turn it back in. We need to like creating this, me versus the system kind of mentality. But I hope that you're picking up what Joe is laying down here, that it's not this us versus them. It's I see it as an inheritance. And if you're in any sort of mindset that you can have whatever you want, you can be whoever you want, you're worthy of everything, and you're either even worthy of not having to struggle, then we can see every single thing around us as an opportunity or a tool to elevate ourselves. And including the birth certificate. Can't we see? We can see everything with duality if we choose to. So if we're going to see the negative, it means that there must be an implied positive, right? Unless you choose to be working as a two-dimensional character and you've got no free will and you're just a victim and you just need to like roll over and play dead and hope that someone can come save you. And so this SPC process is technically like a status correction, kind of like how your passport correction um, helps you come alive. So instead of identifying as the straw man or as a citizen or property of the United States, um, you're actually showing that you are not that. You're not that property. You are the living man or woman who is a national born on state soil. And you prove that with, coming alive, correcting your status. And with this financial status correction, what you're doing is, I imagine it almost like, um, when we talk about chattel, like the first thing that comes to mind is cattle. It's like I'm just like one in the herd that they've called us property. And so what you're doing is instead of like being that cow or whatever, you're actually like becoming self-aware and you're exiting the pin and you're going on your own and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I haven't changed, but what my knowledge has changed. And now I can actually like use everything for my advantage. So Joe, is that an adequate description of like a status change, a financial status change,
Oh yeah.
separating yourself from the herd?
Yeah, you have to rebut the presumption that you're a debtor in this debt system, right? You're the only thing that is is keeping this system together because of your energy and your constant creation of energy and keeping basically their fiat currency flowing and valuable. Because if everyone just said, I don't find value in this thing anymore and stop using it, well, guess what's going to happen? They're going to be shit out of luck because they have no way to enforce it. Nothing. So,
So what gives us because I'm sure some people are listening right now and I've got the chat disabled for a moment, but I'm sure people are thinking, well, can't I get in trouble for trying to do a UCC filing? Like, can't I get in trouble for trying to be the first lien on a debt and whatever cause all this havoc for others who are trying to just like do their job? What gives us the right to do this?
well, one thing is that they've illegally turned you into a debt slave. It's a violation of the 13th Amendment. That's why the UCC filing, they'll never reject it. They reject certain elements when people do them incorrectly because they're wrong, but they won't reject it and they won't look at the other one. They won't take it down, right? I've done this process with, I don't know, at least 60 people and not one has been rejected or taken off. None. Okay. When doing that process, other things, yeah, they've taken things down, like we tried doing some funny stuff with the UCC filings and they're like, no.
That's great. I mean, okay, so I hope that you guys kind of caught on to my language there, just being like, what gives us the right? Because we could get in trouble, Just like, I'm sure a lot of us have thought this way, but with me saying that, I hope it like kind of woke something up in you because what I'm trying to get at is we don't need to ask permission to not be a slave or property anymore. Does that make sense?
Remember, the 13th Amendment makes involuntary servitude and slavery illegal. Okay. This is a feudal system and it's debt based. So what's happening is that as long as you're okay with being a slave in their system, it's voluntary servitude and it's legal. But the second you go, no, I don't consent anymore, right? And they say you have to, now it's tyrannical. It's sanctioning involuntary servitude. That's why they let you do the UCC one because it relieves you from the debt system that they forced us into. Okay, so that way you have remedy. HDR 192, right, provided remedy saying that we can discharge debts right? Dollar for dollar in any form of legal currency, which, as you can see, the bills of lading, the birth certificate, these are all currency. The birth certificate is stock in the United States corporation. What do you think their stock is? It's humans and land, right? So they're saying you're stock. We say bullshit. I'm not. I'm not part of it anymore. Give me what's owed to me for what you guys have done. And that's yeah. What was it that thing called, the Nasar Jasara thing? They
Hmm.
talk about that. I'm like, no, I don't think you guys get it. They're not going to do that. They're not. That whole conspiracy guy like going around saying, just wait, it's gonna happen, everybody.
Right.
Don't listen to that bullshit. They that is a psyop where they're telling you to sit on your hands and wait for it to happen. The good guys are in control. That's all bullshit. That makes people inactive, right?
Hmm.
What's a good way to get people who they know are going to want to fight and put up a fight? Say, hey, shh,
Hmm.
good guys are in control.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know the secret now.
Hmm.
So you just sit there and wait, and everything's going to work out perfectly just the way you expect it to.
It's so predatory and it's so successful because those of us in the sovereignty space have the imagination that if it sounds too good to be true, then like it really can be true, right? Like we stretch our minds that far to believe in ourselves. So like how bad is it to believe that that could be possible? We can manifest anything. It's just we don't have to do much. It'll just show up and we'll be free. You'll get it once we get to it, which is never. Yeah, exactly, Nigel. 100%. But they're going to tell you all these sweet stories and lies to keep you from fighting them, right? Because why are you going to fight someone that's giving you hope? Like the one giving you false hope is your enemy, unfortunately. How do I correct my SPC? Create bonds. Um,
Show you guys one thing real quick because I was talking about this before, but I didn't pull it up. So what I was talking about, like, this is the Programs Operation Manual System, POMS, this Social Security website. Okay, and this is their manual, like how the IRS has an IRS manual. Social Security's internal manual is called POMS, POMS, right? Program. All right. Anyway, it says resources assumed to be liquid. Cash is always liquid. Liquid. In addition, certain non-cash items are nearly always liquid. Right? Assumption of liquidity. Stocks, bonds, mutual fund shares, checking, savings accounts, time deposits, United States savings bonds, treasury bills, notes and bonds, and mortgages and promissory notes are all liquid. Okay. So, yeah, they're telling you this is how the Social Security account works. Those things are all deposited into the Social Security account and they're considered liquid. So they just swapping paper around saying, yeah, now we're rich, yay, right? And they're just crediting each other. Well, what
mhm,
about you? You're the one that they made all this off of you. So you have to get yours too, right? Because
mhm,
you're the one that created this whole thing.
mhm. We are going to cover some questions, but first we're going to shed some light on what's coming next, you guys. We don't want you to feel like what we're about to offer you is the only way to free yourself. I think it's very special that what Joe shares with us is like he at least makes me feel like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is it. This is it. And I get really excited and I'm like, okay, I'm all in. Um, but in our master class might not be doable financially for everybody. And we know that that's not a good feeling. If your excitement has built up until now, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is where they ask us for money. So before we get into the SBC masterclass, we want you to know that we have compassion and understanding for everybody at all levels. And we do our best to have open discussions and allow you to get all the pieces to this puzzle that you're putting together in your personal life. And the best way we can do that is to have you all in community together because everybody has a piece to the puzzle that you can all share with each other. We're not trying to gatekeep and say you can only get information from Joe and only in this class. We welcome you guys to chat and have study groups and work together. So I want you to know that, okay? Because money is such a pain point, especially in the sovereignty space, and it's almost like the privileged who are able to who have figured out how to discharge their credit cards and have figured out to do recoupment or figured out how to like not have financial woes to be on the inside with this. Um, Thank you. That's what sets you and Joe apart. You encourage us to free each other. Exactly. Like do whatever you need to do to free yourself while also understanding that when Joe shares proprietary information, and proprietary means it's private, it's special. No one else is doing it this way, and it's protected, and it's property of his. And so when we have this special thing that we share with people, like the bonds class. The bonds class was something that is, it's not necessarily an entitlement for everyone to know. It's something that Joe worked hard to piece together himself over decades of freeing himself. And so, just because one man has learned to free himself with all his hard work and sacrifice that he's done, doesn't mean that he owes it to everybody. And even then, it doesn't mean that he owes it to be affordable for everybody. And that's where it's kind of where it's heartbreaking. But it's also why Joe and I have community for you guys so that you can at least still have your finger on the pulse and in network, right, with people who can assist you. And the people who come to our masterclass have the ability to help others. So like you if you take our masterclass, you can learn to do it yourself and learn to do it for other people. And then you can like charge a donation for it, right? Whatever donation you want to help people. So we're introducing you to an option to join our trust community, just be among peers who are willing to help you. And Joe's in there too, and me, obviously. And then the masterclass your peers in the trust community are attending this masterclass and then they can help you for whatever donation that they've got set. Okay. So I don't want anyone to feel like you're completely left out if you can't be part of this masterclass coming in September. We don't have monthly payments, but you can apply on the website on Kajabi. It gives you an option to do like Afterpay or Klarna. Thank you, Susan. And don't blow it for everyone by blabbing it all over everywhere. Stay respectful and in honor. Thank you. That is the culture of the trust community. The members in there, we already know the name of the game. Like once you start blabbing, it no longer works. And also, I want you to know too that when we do these master classes, we have ongoing support, whether it's ongoing follow-up classes, well, it's not an or thing. It's that, and you have a private section within the trust community that you can access so that you can work among your peers who are also in class. So it's not this like one-off come to class and then we never hear from you again. You always have access to Joe and your peers. What is the website for the mass class? I'm going to share that with you because what we're doing is we're offering it for $600 off the asking donation, and it's only available until Friday. It ends Saturday at midnight. So when it's officially Eastern time, Saturday morning at 12, that's when it'll expire and then it'll go up to the full donation. So let me share this with you guys and then we're going to do Q&A for you.
Oh, can I just say something real quick?
Of course.
All right. So just to let you guys know, when you're doing this secured party process, right? The first thing you do is you set up the UCC1. Okay. Then what you're gonna do, because I want to clarify like what the steps are, so you gotta go like an overview. What you're gonna put in is a bunch of county recording packet, right? It's all these now not just the UCC1, but it's like a property list, power of attorney. There's a commercial security agreement. There's a notice of lien, hold harmless agreement, right? A non-negotiable security agreement. And these are all part of like what's called the freedom documents, Those are pretty standard that you got to put in there. There's an active state saying like who you are as a man or woman. Okay, those get put in. They're not only put into the UCC filing, but then they get recorded at the county as well. Then from there, what you do is you create your treasury packet after you, because you have to have your security agreements in first before you go and do the financial part. Okay, and know all your financial documents, right? You're going to have, you have to use a notary for this stuff, right? So you have to get a notary who's going to do the mailing for you, and he does a notary presentment. But the financial documents are going to have things like that in there, right? You're going to have offset notice for balancing books. You're going to have like chargeback orders, okay? Fiduciary appointments, okay? Then you're going to start using the bills of exchange, and you're going to put that into the treasury. Then you're going to do the bonds, okay? That's a that's a separate pack. So you have your financial documents, and those are done. Then you have the bonds, which you're going to do later on after you do that. Okay. So what you get, and remember, all this is done through notary presentment because you're going into the private. The notary has to do the mailing on your behalf. Okay. That's a big part of it. So some people tell you don't need to do that. Don't listen to them. You have to do it that way. You can't have your name on the outside. Of on the outside when it goes mailed, when it's getting mailed out, you can't have your name on the envelope because you're in the private now. You have to move into the private. So the notary has to put his return address on there because he's a public entity. You're not. Okay. And then you're going to put in your private registered bond for set off. Okay. That opens up the bank account. You're going to do an indemnity bond. That's your insurance policy, just like what the judges have. You're going to do an offset and discharge bond, which funds the account. And then you have a registered promissory note, a bonded promissory note that does the discharging. All right. All those bonds have to be set up that way, right? Because the promissory note is also a bond. So all those things together does the discharging and does all those set offs and stuff like that. And
Are we
then you
going to
get,
learn how to do a bond? Not the full like class that you taught in the master class, but are you going to teach us how to do a bond in the master class for SPC?
I'm not gonna, no,
Okay.
because it's just too much for the, no, we'll just have like a template for all those bonds so that people can just fill them out and do them.
Okay, so bonds are going to be included.
Yeah, but these are not a joke. You got to get people to sign these things because you need sureties to sign them. So it's not like you just sign it and send it in. You got to go get your pals to go sign them things too. Like this is like, because if you don't do it the right way, it's not going to work. And because you're sending these bonds to Treasury, they want to see that there's other people that are backing you up. So you have to actually have sureties that sign on the back of them. Okay. Um, so there's going to be you signing, there's going to be surety signing. So you got to get some buddies to sign along with you. So if you guys want to get together and, whoever's doing the classes get together and agree to be each other's sureties, that works fine too.
That's right, Paul. Paul said it. That's where community comes in. 100%.
And then
Um,
trust me, you guys are gonna be like hitting each other up, like, hey, yeah,
I know.
I'll be yours. Like, yeah, yeah,
They're already doing it.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And from there, the only thing that's really left to do is learning how to enforce. How do you enforce this stuff? All right. And it
mhm.
really comes down to utilizing the UCC to keep everything public, all the transactions you're doing. Those stay public. You're private, but you still use those entities as debtors, right? And uh, that and the administrative process. But we're gonna actually learn how to use the UCC because when you do it right and you do it through the UCC and you do the administrative process right, even the sheriff is gonna back you up. The sheriff's gonna go, whoa, 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 hold on a second here. We're not taking this guy's stuff, right? No, you can't take his. No, he's got a security interest on this stuff. Get out of here. Okay. So that's what you're looking at when you do this process. Okay. You have your you have to create your commercial agreements. Okay. You have to create your financial backing. Then you do the bonds. Then you learn how to enforce everything. Does that make sense? Right? That's the order that it goes in.
Thank you, Joe. Um, I just posted in the chat the link for $600 off, but it's 25% off, which is more than 800 off if you are in the trust community. Um, the trust community link will be posted tomorrow. So just mind yourself. Also, the A Bond is Your Shield Masterclass members, we're going to create a link for you so that you have your very steep discount yourself. So, um, if you need access to the bonds class, and you have, you're becoming a member of the SBC Masterclass, we'll work something out with you, so that it's fair. We're not going to ask you to come up with an extra $7,000 because that's what it is right now on the website for the bonds. Um, okay. And Andrea is doing a great job in the chat, helping people understand that you can put your children in a trust to protect your children. So, okay. Is that everything you wanted to share about the SBC Masterclass, Joe, before we get into some Q&A?
I think that was it for now. Yeah. I mean, see what comes up in that.
Okay, awesome. How fast to get this all set? Like how fast does it
To
take?
do
Yeah.
it just depends on the individual.
Hmm.
Some parts are a bit longer, and some parts are a little bit faster. So you have to. It just depends on you as a student, and really that's what it depends on you as a student. How much you get, how many times do you have to go over something to really understand it, and so
Okay. So it
not
could be
you.
done like in a day?
I mean, it's gonna be a long day if you do it, but no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it in one day. No, you want to take your time with it. Nothing to rush. Like the UCC one can be done in a few minutes. Okay, that's easy. But then from there, you have to create your property list. You have to start doing your commercial agreements. So, you're gonna do these things in little sections at a time. Okay. So give yourself like, when we're sitting down doing one thing, like we'll go over like one part of the process, and you got like a week to really work on it, and it should be done by the end of the week. All right. Like you want to set aside like an hour every day to do it, and you should be done, or 2 hours, maybe one night or something to do more. It just depends on certain, certain parts of it are going to be a little more lengthier. Going
Hmm.
around getting the sureties for the bonds, the people to sign it, that could take time. So that stuff could be a little bit different.
Okay, guys, here is the trust community link. Um, Please be respectful and not try to bring up other people's SPC processes in our SPC class. Um, we have Joe as our instructor for a reason because of all his success. Um, he's also not private, keeping his full legal name private, so you can't actually look him up. Google him if you want. See what he's really all about.
Me?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Google you. Um, let's see here. Just catching up on the chat. Oh, I need something to have them restored to me. Okay. Okay. Looks like SPC is going to be the way. We should clarify the 25% discount. Is that the 600? No, there's a larger discount. So if you are a trust community member, you receive 25% off of all upcoming classes. So if you do not desire to be a trust community member, then this offer today is just 600 off. So that's just a one-off. Um, but if you'd like to be part of the community, you will want to take advantage of that. Okay, awesome. Yes, there's a plethora of information in the trust community. There is a lot. We have a lot of recorded classes too. We have a lot. How many classes do we have, Joe? Like over 40 classes recorded now?
You said 68 earlier.
68 total. That includes the donation based, but just this year alone, we've done over 40 for the trust community. That's like
Yeah.
not donation based.
Um, Someone asked a question about can you do this if they were born in the absolutely. You- anywhere in the world where you were born where they issued a birth certificate, right? There's a centralized bank in that country, and it's running the same scam, so it can be used. And if you naturalize in the United States, they did a conversion of that birth certificate over to a U.S. citizenship, uh, standing. So there's a conversion on that as well. So yes, and obviously, if you're here, you probably have a Social Security account, no matter what. Most people do, so you can use that.
Thank you. So if someone's correcting their UCC filing, can PDFs be deleted or do the PDFs that were originally posted stay and you just post corrected ones?
It may depend on the state. I think in some
Okay.
states you can, in some states you can't. I'm a lefty. I can't take yours. Look, I got my 7th string right here, man. So, but it's a lefty because I'm a left-handed. So yours is useless to me. Sorry.
I love it. Joe, would you like to share your Rumble link so that people can find you in the chat?
Yes.
Thank you, Kimberly. Yeah, you can just look up Joe Lustica. There's no spaces for those of you watching on the replay and you don't have access to the chat link. It's Joe Lustica. The 25% discount for the VIP members, it's for all members, not just VIP, which is so nice. Everybody gets to have a discount. Um, it will be in the upcoming classes. So go to the upcoming classes tab and you'll see it tomorrow. It will be live tomorrow. Um, Also, if you have been in the Bonds as Your Shield masterclass, wait, because it is a very, very steep contribution for not steep discount for your contribution for the SPC. Can we be notary for each other? Um,
If you're a notary, then yeah. If you're not a notary, you can't do it.
yeah, I think he was wondering like, can you do the two witnesses thing with each other?
No, there's sureties on the bonds. You can't. Hold on, I'll
Okay,
pull. Show you. I got
okay.
some. Uh,
Ooh, Olivia, I recently filed my UCC that Joe helped me with last year, and Judge has gone silent.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do with that stuff sometimes. They're like shit, you know. Uh, this is
So you're going to want to be in this SPC masterclass if you're someone that like you want to do this yourself. Get educated, do it yourself, help others, maybe make a little bit of money on the side, helping other people. Just keep that in mind.
all right. So here, this is a private registered bond for set off. This is non-negotiable. It's valued at $100 billion. Okay, and then you have to fill all this stuff out. See, the bond number is a registered mail bond. Okay, that's the registered mail number. Okay, it's the same numbers. The bond number and the registered mail number are the same numbers. Um, that means that these all got sent out, at separate times, right? If there's different ones. This bond order, you got to fill this stuff out. But you see, like, you're gonna sign this thing. Okay, that's the real man name, and then you have sureties, and you sign as the principal. You have your buddies here, surety one, surety two, and then two witnesses have to sign it. So there's 5 people involved on this one document. See what I mean? Like this is not like this isn't like a cute little thing you just do at home. This is like they take these things seriously. So they want you to do it seriously. There's two sureties signed here with the principal. This is one bond, by the way. It's a bunch of pages. See, this is the we're not really messing around with this. Yeah, then they sign here again. Surety one, surety two, the principal, right? And then there's another one there. This is another part of it. You have to delete all that. And then this is the bond order for that. Same thing. This is the promissory note.
So is that what you're going to use in the SPC masterclass?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
this
yes,
is it.
Mary, that's the template that you guys get in the masterclass.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you read those things, those bonds are not, they're not, those are real. Like I know the guy who created those things. He's very old now, but we went in and had to clean up some of the stuff because some of it was whatever. But those bonds, those are real serious bonds. So we're not messing around with those things. Like you got to do it right, or it's not going to work. Like I said, like if you do it wrong, it's not going to work. My friend spent 15 years trying to figure out how to do it right, and he finally got it working. So that's the process. And there's tons of people that have took his process and altered it. Like I saw somebody talk about how they have a book on it and stuff like that. Someone took those documents and ripped them up, put them into this book and sells it to people, but it's not the complete process. So it's missing a lot of data in there.
Isn't that interesting? We see it a lot, and when I say we, I mean Joe brings it to my attention. But people take what Joe shares and they turn around and sell it. Like they do that exact same thing, and they mess it up, and then they try to loop you into booking one-on-ones with them. And anyway, it's insane. Um, with the level of knowledge and application that Joe has in this space, he should be asking for a lot more. I used to be in communities where it cost you $1,500 just to sit face to face on a Zoom with the community leader. And the community leader didn't even reply to people's questions within the community. It was community based discussions, but the leader only showed up for 1 hour a week and only allowed people one question per person for that 1 hour a week. And if you wanted to have direct access to him again, it's $1,500. And I was inspired because I read that man's book, and there's just a lot of stuff that I respect about him, and that's cool, man. If he has such a demand that he's able to pull that off, like, good on you. I wish I could be there, but Joe and I have this. Um, okay, sorry, I can't speak for you, Joe, but at least I observe with you and I feel a similar sentiment to like my heart beats out of my chest and I panic when I feel like there's information that should be known freely. And and then we also have to kind of like ride the wave of like, okay, what needs to be shared freely and what needs to be shared privately. So there's a lot of that going on. It seems like if people are meant to find this, they would have their own accord because they're searching for it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so thank you for being here, you guys. I thought each process was meant to be your own. I'm constantly hearing this. We don't give templates. Yeah, you have to figure out your own process. Yeah. We march to that, the beat of that drum of no templates, but there are some cases where it's extremely helpful for you to have a template for certain things. Otherwise, it'll just like paralyze you. What's that, Joe?
This process.
This, yeah, like this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You need it to work. So when we say no process, or sorry, no templates, we mean it for a specific process because we know that if everybody is turning in this exact thing all looking the same, then it's going to stop working. So we just defer to Joe's wisdom and judgment on like what can be used as a template and what cannot. So and yeah, and just so you know the material. That's right, Keith. And yeah, that's right, because the system will change it. So we're having to like observe the system and learn how to act. And so we let Joe go first, right? That's what a leader does. And then Joe's like, okay, guys, this is safe. Do it this way. That's
Oh,
also why, what?
oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's also why I say it's kind of dangerous to just like go and take all the free stuff or the things that people are like reselling that was Joe's, because that could be old information and information could have changed by now. That's also how why it's important to be in the community too, because Joe is going to go to the community first before anyone else, really. If he's going to keep you informed, he's going to go straight to the community. Um, I'm going to share the community link one more time if you'd like to opt in. Check it out, read thoroughly. We're doing a low entry contribution launching this Friday if you want to keep that in mind. But that community doesn't give you access to the 25%. You have to be in the trust. Joe, why is it important to know trust, to be confident and knowledgeable in trust when applying the SPC process?
Well, I'm just going to show you. How about that?
Even better.
So here's the little UCC1 financing statement we did. Look what it says right here. Collateral is held in trust. Guess you got to know a little bit about trust, right, to do this. Um, trust has a lot. Trust is basically every transaction you're going to do with government is all done in trust. Everything. Okay. Like trust can be either implied, meaning not written down, uh, but the agreement is still there, so it operates as a trust, or they could be express, which means they are written down. Okay, this is an express trust. You're creating a financial account, right, with the U.S. Treasury. Okay, based off of the fact that you were used as collateral for them to loan, for them to borrow money from the Federal Reserve, which is a private bank that has nothing to do with the United States of America. It's a foreign bank owned by a bunch of Germans and like a mix of the German British guys are now, right? So uh, whatever. Anyway, there's more to that, but we're not going to get into that stuff. Anyway, those guys really own the country, okay, along with the Crown and the Vatican. So, but this is a trust. So we have to understand how trusts work in order to really understand what our position is inside of this thing. Like as a secured party, you're a beneficiary, okay? Which means they have to do, and these are all considered irrevocable trusts, meaning that you can't be sued for anything that happens under these agreements because you're the one that benefits from these. So if you don't understand trust law, you're going to have a hard time wrapping your head around the secured party process and all this other stuff. Basically, the entire nature of government and how to interact with government is going to be lost to you if you don't understand trust law.
Thank you, Joe. So yeah, you're gonna want to be in our trust community so you can get all caught up to speed on trust law. No coupon was given out for joining the trust community. That's a full contribution. Your discount is applied within the trust community. So you'll download the app, you'll get all the prompts, and you'll see the discounted offer in monthly meetings. And that's going to be live tomorrow.
Don't do the posted money orders. I saw someone get arrested for that recently, so I would just stay away from that for now.
Yeah. There is, thank you, Mandy. There is a general roadmap for what's first. So if you're here and you're feeling like this, you're kind of getting in over your head, we highly recommend starting with Stairway to Sovereignty. It's also kind of like a delicate thing of like where to start first because it's like, it's so nuanced. Like some people have already started on certain things. And so if we say do this first, and other people will be like, but I did this first, and it creates stress. So just kind of like just take a deep breath first and just like go to the website, see what we have to offer. If you go to my website, breedefine.com, you'll see all of our offers there. All the classes are led by Joe. And we have a stairway to free agency that starts everything off with where to go first. And we start with passport. Let's see. I'm going to.
Why that's the order. If you started doing like SPC first and then you went on to doing something else or you're doing some other process and then you go and look at like the lineup that I put together for everybody, um, don't worry about it. You did all this stuff. It's highly confusing. That's why you got lost and had no success with it. The whole purpose of this what was it, the Stairway to Sovereignty, was that what you do is you learn things on a gradient level. Like you learn the easiest concepts first and you build from there. The easiest concept is the 14th Amendment is what created this entire situation in the first place. Okay? Do you think the Emergency Banking Act of 1933 and 1935, do you think those were going to affect everybody if there was no such thing as a US citizen? would have never happened, right? If everybody was state citizens like the way they were supposed to be without having their US citizenship attached to them, then none of that stuff would have ever happened because they wouldn't have had the authority to do it in the first place. But because they owned the people, they were able to turn them into collateral and use banking instruments to control them. But as state citizens, they couldn't do that. Nationals, right? That's the first thing you learn. That 14th Amendment, that's what created all these problems. And then from there, you handle the IRS. And when you learn how to handle the IRS, it gets a lot more sophisticated, right? Because there's a lot more involved with the IRS. Because, look, if you're going to scam somebody, the best way to do it is make it very intricate and very confusing, right? And very, vague, all over the place. Look at the IRS code. Nobody, not one man or woman in history has read the entire IRS code. Nobody's done it. It's just too big. So no one's ever read the whole thing in full. No one actually knows what's contained in there. But that would be the second thing you would do is that, right? Then what you do is that now that you've contracted out, you can utilize the U.S. citizenship to get back into the system correctly using the assumed name. And then once you do that, you utilize trusts in order to protect you and your assets. Okay. So that way you're fully protected and you can remain in the private while using the public entity. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So good. So much knowledge in our trust community. People are already dropping gems here in the chat. Um,
But you may not want to revoke power of attorney with everyone you're doing business with. You might not want to do that.
mhm.
So that's something that you'd have to think about. Like, is it going to hinder all the other things you need to do by because if you revoke power of attorney with some of these companies that you're doing business with, they might just drop you. And if it's a credit card company, now all of a sudden you can't pay to get your passport, right? Shit. So think about what it is you're trying to revoke power of attorney from, right? And is that going to really help you or not? Because you don't have to revoke power of attorney with let's say Capital One, okay? You go and do these steps. You do the passport, you do the revocation of election, you do the assumed name. Now, what's Capital One got? They got power of attorney over your business. Say, well, they have a limited power of attorney, right? But now it's all business transaction that you're doing with Capital One, right? And they say, well, we're going to do this. Well, that's not none of that's if they want to like, oh, we're gonna do this and we're gonna take this stuff from you. Well, it's not mine anymore. I don't have it. It's all in trust. You have a contract with a business. That's not me, right? So who cares if they have power of attorney over the business? It's a business. They're not the owner. So at that point in time, that power of attorney is kind of already revoked itself, right? Um, it's kind of a funny little gray area, but when they go, well, we got power of attorney over that company. I don't think so.
I just want to share a comment here in the chat that is so relatable. Manu says, I'm still learning, but I haven't taken action because I'm like, what do I take action on first? So this is also why I am introducing the coaching community on Friday because I get that so often. I use this is the pattern of my life. I share something and then I get tons of questions on how to do something and I'm just like it's so easy. Like I've already told you, like go to the videos. I've been doing it for free. Like stop bugging me, And then it inspires me. I'm like, oh, I think people are all asking to just like huddle together and I can just kind of announce it all in one place. So anyway, that's my way of saying if you feel paralyzed, not knowing where to start, where to go, who to trust, join the coaching community. It's going to be live come Friday, okay? And then if you join the trust community and you're like, wow, this is a lot of heavy information. I don't think I can keep up. It's a lot for me. Then you can just downgrade and hang out and simmer in the coaching until you're ready to go back up. So thanks, Joe Clem. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, Vital, that's a good point because once you do all that stuff, and you know trust law, you can flip the script on them. Well, they got power of attorney. Great, you're a fiduciary. Now I need you to perform. Get to work. You work for me.
Mhm.
That's another thing you could do.
Thank you so much for the love, Livy. So wait to join the trust community tomorrow and coaching Friday. So if you join the trust community at any level, you'll automatically be part of the coaching community because that'll be at like the base level. So everyone above that will all automatically be included. Um, Participation is optional, of course. Um, but yes, you can always upgrade later on. But no, you don't have to wait to join the trust community tomorrow. You can join at any time. It's just that tomorrow the trust community discount link will be in the meetings, monthly meetings tab for you. How do you do this? What is Perry saying? How do you do this? Oh, D&D. Yeah, Tate, go ahead and join now. Thank you, Vincenzo. Always a pleasure sitting in our Zoom classes. Thank you. We love doing these. We've done actually, I think 70 because I forgot two classes already. Remember we did that mortgage fraud class?
Oh yeah, I
And then
remember.
we did the research like Joe class. I didn't put those on the list, so we've done at least 70 classes. Can
Oh, look at that.
you believe that? 70 people just keep showing up. Thanks, Kedrick. Fools. That's hilarious. That was the recording of the meeting the
Jeez.
security from.
I can
I know.
off now.
Securities fraud class. So I had to take it off of the website because I got in trouble for talking about banking and stuff on my website. They're holding our funds till the end of November.
Yeah.
So super not fun. So anyway, I say that to say, I don't know if we'll have that available. That was a really expensive class too.
They had a stipulation about talking about any kind of banking stuff in their agreements, and so that's why they froze the accounts, put everything on hold, and refused to give turn over any funds. That's
And
what happened.
sadly, like it was so sneaky because it wasn't just in the Kajabi terms and conditions, it was under the Kajabi payments. So it was their payment processor terms and conditions that like I didn't think to read. I only read like the actual Kajabi communities and stuff. So
I can't find an address to them. That's been the major problem I've been having. Otherwise, I would probably put a lien on them, or get the funds back some other way. But the problem is that I there's no address. There's no physical address for the company. It's crazy.
Keith put a lien on them. That's fine. Yeah, no address. But I don't know. We can wait another 3 months, can't we, Joe?
Yeah, I don't really care that much. It is what it is.
It's a forced savings account.
With no address, I'm telling you, I spent time looking for it. It was super annoying. So, well, I'll figure something out. It's not.
Just so you know, all the classes are going to soon turn into travel guides here in a little bit. I've been so swamped working on stuff for Joe's uh, trust author and my coaching and all these other things that we're launching. But it's going to start looking like a travel guide. So you're going to want to stay active on the email list. Like make sure you favorite us, keep us as a contact so that you get the actual, what am I trying to say? Catalog, so they know what you're getting on the website. Because if you want revocation of election, it's probably going to look like a Costa Rica guide, which you're going to get two products. Actually, you're going to get the actual guide that I made from my actual trips. So that's fun. Could it be this one? Check it out. Uh,
Maybe.
Portugal, cool. Maybe I'll cheat and use ChatGPT for Portugal.
I'll be honest, I spent about 2 hours on it and
Mm,
didn't find anything, and I gave up because at the time I was working on my own case